Welcome back to another episode of the Budget Overland podcast. I am your host, Benji, and today is fun because we got some more international travelers, and they're from like the UK or England or something. We'll find that out, but they're doing the Pan American Trail right now in a Volkswagen bus. Of all things, we'll find out why, and we'll go from there. They've been at it for a while now, and without further ado, we've got Lee and Willow from the Kombi Chronicles. Did I screw that up?
No,
Kombi?
you got it.
Kombi?
Got it right. The Kombi
Okay.
Chronicles. Hey, thanks for having us, Benji.
Hey, I'm so glad it worked out because you guys are you in Peru? Is that correct? Or did you make it out of there?
We are currently in Bolivia.
Bolivia? Were you? Okay,
Yeah.
so you guys were. We'll get into all this stuff. You guys were held up
Yeah. We
for a while.
move around a bit.
You moved around a bit, and then you guys had some technical difficulties with cell phones, laptops, maybe other things, and we'll get into all that. But where are you guys originally from? You told me last week, and I already forgot.
We are from two different places. I'll let Willow
Okay.
introduce herself first.
Well,
Yes.
I grew up on the south coast of England, near Brighton is probably the most
How good's your UK geography?
notable point.
Mine's not there. I've got relatives that are actually from there, so I'm not even that good.
She's basically on the south coast towards France.
Yeah, opposite France, basically.
And where are you at?
And
Lee?
I'm
Are you
from
on the
I'm from
northern-
I'm more central, Birmingham.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, it's the second biggest city in England, right?
And as far away from the sea
And
as
as far
is
as away
possible to
from the
get.
sea as you can get. And fun fact, has more canals than Venice,
really,
apparently. I don't know if anyone
so
counts
you're
it.
just going to take their word for it, or is that just what everybody says?
Yeah.
We've got more canals than you. That's great, though. And then, how did you guys meet? And then, how did you guys decide to become world travelers? Like, what
It's
gets you
a
into it?
it's a proper romance story,
Beautiful,
isn't it?
isn't it? It's so romantic. It was probably the most disgusting club I've ever been to in my life. And we were both so drunk that we don't actually remember meeting at all the first time.
So Willow had come to Birmingham to become a silversmith to make jewellery.
Oh,
And then we
nice.
just met. We were both on separate nights out. We met. She stole my food. We fell in love.
Boy meets girl.
Girl eats chips.
So after that night, I mean, obviously you exchanged numbers, or you were able to contact each other again, right?
Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
bump into each other again down the road?
No, we kept in contact because I'd had a job
You
offer
didn't have a car and you wanted to use my car.
as a taxi.
Yeah.
I had a job offer to go work in Italy, and then I got another one to go work in Dubai, and then we kind of spent a lot of time together because we knew it may be limited, and then we kind of really got on and had so much in common that actually I decided to make changes to career plans to stay in Birmingham longer.
Nice.
Yeah,
So
it
how
was
long
just
have you guys
kinda hit it
been-
off.
How long have you guys been traveling out of your van right now? And then we'll kind of backtrack a little bit. So you've been on the road per se for a while, or like a year, or what?
We left England 4 years in
4 days.
In 4 days'
4
time.
years and 4 days.
We're coming up to our
Holy
4-year
smokes.
anniversary.
Wow. Okay, so let's go back to England, and how did you guys come up with the idea of where you're at now, what life looked like, to where you guys could make adjustments and just tell each other, let's go live life, let's go travel. Like how'd you guys come to that road?
It happened at a Christmas meal one year, actually, about 8 years ago, 9 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time in the making, really, wasn't it? It wasn't like it's not something you decide to do like one afternoon, really.
We were kind of talking at Christmas about future plans, and we kind of both wanted to travel, and I kind of wanted to own a VW, and then we were kind of like, can we fit these two plans into one and travel in an old VW? And at the time, neither of us knew anything about cars or anything, and then we were just, our first step was to be like, right, if we're going to do this, we need to be able to afford it. So we bought an old house in Birmingham, and we started renovating it. We thought we could improve it, flip it, make some money.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we got that stage done, in England we got something similar to Craigslist. It's called Gumtree, and we found an advert for a 1976 VW, originally from Budapest, which was imported. So one evening, it was a school holiday, and we're both teachers, so we were heading off on a short holiday, and then we decided to look at this advert of an old VW, didn't we?
And we thought, what better time to see it than in the pitch black on some stranger's driveway when we have no idea of anything about the car at all. So we just turned up, and I had a fridge magnet because I read online that you should check that the bottom of the bus isn't, just rust and filler. So I'm going around with like a fridge magnet, like poking the bus, like trying to look like I know what I'm doing. Didn't do us much good though, because we bought the most rotten camper van ever, I think.
Yeah, Ruby was the first bus we ever saw, and we fell in love and we bought her. So that was stage 2 complete.
Yeah, but we bought her as a complete mess.
The engine was lying inside, there was no furnishings, the dashboard was on top of the engine.
Just basically just a shell.
Yeah,
with
and they towed her to our house, dropped her off outside, and just kind of drove off. We had to knock on our neighbours, who we'd never really met before, and be like, "Hey guys, we've just bought an old VW. Can you help us push it into the shed at the bottom of our garden?"
And then we had to try and make it work.
Yeah,
kind of the next stage.
So over the next 4 years, we kind of were working on it. Willow.
Well, I had to learn about what a car is first.
Yeah, Willow finished her degree, and I stayed in Birmingham, so I started a degree. So in the meantime, Willow was like, I should do something other than start a business, because if we're going to go traveling in our VW, I don't want to start it and then leave. So you did a 1-year course as in motor vehicle mechanics.
Yeah, I was going to just do an evening class or something, and I couldn't find anything that was in between. It was either here's how to put water in your engine, the most basic thing ever, or it was a full-blown qualification. So I ended up doing the whole thing, and I actually quite liked it. So then I did another year, and I got fast-tracked, and I got qualified as a mechanic, and then I got offered a job teaching mechanics.
Wow.
While he finished his degree. That was pretty useful.
Really
and
cool.
I had, it was awesome. And I had the best boss ever. And he was totally cool with me bringing our rusty VW in and leaving it in the college workshop for the students to do as a project.
Nice.
Which was
That was
awesome.
kind of stage 3, wasn't it? Working on the camper and getting it ready for a trip.
Wow, that's a really
Free
cool
labor.
story. Yeah.
We were really lucky. It was really good.
For our area around here, they call it VOTech school. It's kind of not like a junior college, but it's more like for if you're going to go into the HVAC field, mechanical field, more work with your hands, more of the blue collar jobs. People will bring their cars and stuff to these places and let the kids work on them, or the students work on them for free. Pretty much, you have to pay for the parts and everything, but the labor's there because the kids and the students are learning. And I think that's so cool that you took full advantage of that. And then now you guys are probably you're literally on the other side of the continent or the other side of the world. And then you probably have a better peace of mind because you guys know how to work on it. You've built it. So
yes and no.
I mean, I think everything we built on it has probably at this point been broken and replaced. So
well, you have been on the road for 4 years. And what's crazy is, you guys transported it, right? So did you do more of a Europe trip and then to Africa and then ship it over, or how did you guys? We didn't
go that far.
We just shipped straight from England. You can ship directly to the continent.
We did.
South.
We went to France twice, and as a tester for the planned trip that we had in mind at the time, and then we had a few wild experiments with custom radiators and positionings that didn't work. And then we started, when we got it down, we were like, we have to do this trip. It's now or never. Otherwise we're just going to end up getting stuck in work and working our way up through the system. You're like, oh, but I've just got a promotion. I can't can't leave this year, maybe next year. And then at some point you just have to go, no,
Right.
we're doing it. We're quitting our jobs, as scary as it sounds. We're quitting the careers I've just spent almost 6 years learning and practicing, and then to just walk away, it was scary. Exciting at the same time, though.
Yeah, we took it on a little trip to France about 6 months before we were due to ship to. We shipped to New York, and everything broke. Like the gearbox exploded, nothing worked, and we were like, "We're going in a few months,
Why are we doing
and
this?
it doesn't work." But you know, we fixed it all, got it running again.
We improved on it. I mean,
We did.
We break a lot on the trip, and we always try to. When we built it, it was built on a budget because we were students at the time and we didn't have much money, and so for us it was get something that works for now, and then we'll see how far it gets us, and then if it breaks, we'll try and replace it with better. So next time it
was all like scavenged from cars around the college. Like I ripped half the electrics out of a Ford, and that was our wiring system, and the hoses all come off different cars, and it was whatever works. It's not like a beautiful classic Kombi that's been looked after. It's like
Frankenbus.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah. But I mean, it's cool because it's a vehicle you don't really see. Have you passed many other Volkswagens where you guys, on your journey so far, like in South America, or
we were camped with one last night.
There is a few. Yeah, we were camped with one, but it's not a regular thing. I mean, I know of a couple of other people who are driving VWs and doing bits of this trip. I don't think I know anyone who's done
as much as we've done.
No, I know people who have done like parts of Central America, or they're doing just South America. I don't think I know anyone in a VW who's done both continents, but there are people traveling in them, but mainly the Brazilian ones, so it's a little bit different. They're the newer one.
So did you guys transported it to New York and then from New York down to South America, or did you drive through the states and then go through like Mexico and then transport it? How did you get to where you're at, and which direction are you headed? Are you guys heading north towards Alaska?
So our original plan was to spend 12 months in North America, 6 months in the States, and then 6 months in Canada, get back to the East Coast and ship back to the UK.
Which probably explains our slightly weird choice of shipping to New York, because most people that do this trip ship to Halifax, but we were planning to leave from Halifax. We weren't planning to go into Latin America at all.
Yeah, the Pan Am was never really on our
I
consideration.
didn't even know what the Pan Am was.
Okay, so you guys were traveling, just exploring.
Yeah, the Pan Am's not really well known in England. I think there's a lot of countries in Central America where if you're driving an English vehicle with the steering on the opposite side, you're not allowed to bring it in. So I think a lot of people go, well, we won't bother then because I have to ship around it, which kind of ruins the experience.
And it's really expensive.
So they don't bother. So for us, it was, we'll do 6 months in the US, 6 months Canada, then we'll go back for the next academic year and we'll just slide back into teaching.
And then after like 3 months, we were like, nah, it's not enough time. Like we were powering around America. I think we did 22 states in the US in like 5 months. So we were going fairly fast, and then we were like, this is just not...
Overlanding should come with a health warning. It's highly addictive.
And we also realised that we met a lot of snowbirds coming from Canada, and they were like, do not enter Canada in like, what was it, February? They were like, don't go in February. It's going to be horrific. You're going to hate it. What are you doing? Yeah. And we're like, that's probably a good point. So we thought we'll pop into Baja like everybody seems to do at that time.
Everyone was raving about Baja, and we're like, what's a Baja?
Yeah. We thought, we just go down. We'll spend a month in Baja.
Eat some tacos.
Drink
some tequila.
Chill
learn
on
how
the
to
beach.
surf.
Exactly. And then we'll just go back into America with a little bit more time on our visa, and then we'll be in Canada for spring, and it'll all be lovely.
And then COVID.
And then COVID happened.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they
so
shut
you probably
all of the
couldn't even
borders.
get into Canada, could you?
No, we couldn't even get back into America. They shut the border to the States for about like a year. No, 2 years. Nearly 2
Almost
years.
2 years.
They shut it.
The border was
you were in Mexico,
flexible.
Baja, Mexico at that time?
We were in Baja, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We were in Baja when they shut the border, and then we obviously didn't have much choice, and then we lived in Mexico in the pandemic for 18 months.
We lived in a desert for 3 or 4 months in a
Holy
ranch owned by a
smokes.
Canadian couple. It was brilliant. We were like camping underneath the Milky Way, fires every night with our German friends who didn't want to go back to Europe either.
Wow,
I think we had a
what
pretty
stories.
good pandemic compared to
Wow.
like 90% of the world.
It started off, it was really scary because we were with
Yeah.
a big group of overlanders at the time, and news was like filtering through about this pandemic. And then we all went out for a birthday celebration on the Sunday. We could see all like the Mexican football games on the TV, and there was no crowd. And we're like, oh, it's getting more serious in Mexico. And then the next day they shut down that high street completely. And then by the Friday, the US government announced they were closing the border, and everyone we were with, they just drove from basically Cabo all the way up to San Diego in a day.
The
They were like
border was shutting in like 24 hours, and the drive was like
19.
like 19-hour
would
drive.
be-
So it's like you have to go now, like right now.
And because we're obviously not American citizens, we were like, we're getting there on the day that it closes to do a 19-hour drive and get there, and they turn around and go, nope, you can't come in. And then you're stuck in Tijuana in a pandemic. We were like, nah, this will probably blow over. Instead, we decided to invest in a fishing rod and a blow-up kayak. And we were like, we'll go live in the mountains if it's bad and the apocalypse starts, and we'll fish and we'll be fine.
What a time, man. That's so crazy. Of all the places in the world, during that pandemic would have been kind of scary to me. Not gonna lie. I don't know if I'd want to be stuck in Mexico during a pandemic. So
I
that's
mean,
just me,
it was
though.
brilliant. The first
Okay,
week was, a bit, like I say,
hindsight.
scary. We had armed guards and police turn up being like, you can't be here, you need to move. And we were like, where? And they're like, we don't care, not here, go home. And we were like, we can't
Wow.
go home. And that's why we ended up hiding out in the desert on this ranch owned by some Canadians. 'cause
But
it was
I
just
still
safe.
think it was a lot more chilled than, like, you also had all the George Floyd thing going on in
Yeah.
the States at that time, and America was a bit insane. And also we thought, like, if you actually get seriously ill, we can't afford to pay for that in the
Right.
States, so you're better off
Right.
trying to pay for it down here in Mexico, like maybe have a chance of actually affording that.
Yeah.
And Mexico was way more relaxed. Like, there was no food shortages, there was
We had toilet paper.
yeah, we could buy toilet paper.
That was insane.
Wasn't it just?
It was.
It was
like-
just
the whole time was just weird. Ugh.
Yeah, but no, there's no precedent for it. You don't know what's
well,
going
nobody
on.
knew. We
no
were all
time
like, "Oh my
limit.
god, this is crazy! Can you imagine if it lasts for like 3 months?"
Right. Yeah.
Like,
everybody was
how
thinking real
crazy-
soon. Yeah.
Yeah, we were all like, "I'll blow over in a few
We did a
weeks."
video on our YouTube at the time, and we were like, God, imagine if we're still recording videos here in September. Ha ha ha. And then, yeah, we didn't leave.
No one knew that this was going to be such a huge
No.
thing for such a long time.
And then that kind of shaped our trip, because the German couple we were with, they were in a mad military Iveco from Belgium, used to be a prison transport vehicle.
Wow.
And they were doing the Pan Am, and then the US border wasn't opening, but they opened the ferry from Baja to mainland, and we were like, yeah, we'll come to mainland with you. Let's check it out. It's better than like waiting on the Baja Peninsula forever.
Yeah.
And then that's when we had our first major problem with the motor, wasn't it?
Well, we blew the engine up, didn't we?
Yeah, the day we were meant to catch the ferry, they went ahead to wait at the ferry port, and we went to say goodbye to a friend, made a very bad life choice trying to drive through a river crossing type thing, got stuck, flooded the engine with dirty, sandy water, and just completely ruined it. This is our first of
We were
many
learning.
overlanding problems.
Yeah, we were. They were like professional breakdown people now.
That's
Yeah.
horrible. I mean,
So,
but
yeah,
if
we had-
you're. I mean, I'm saying just good or bad situations. You guys, you're still living life. It might seem doomy and gloomy for a little bit, but you're doing a lot, or visiting a lot of places and doing a lot of things. A lot of people say that they wish they could do. So take that. For
Yeah, I
what it's
mean,
worth.
we always get through it, and I think at this point we have broken so many things so badly that we're not even really bothered
Not fazed
anymore.
by it as
Like,
much.
if my engine explodes tomorrow, I'll be like, damn, Not
On to number
again.
4.
Engine number 4.
Yeah.
Come on then, let's go. It wouldn't even, like, the first time it happened, like, I think I was crying. Like, we were both really upset. We were like, oh my god, we're gonna have to go home. This is like it's over. I can't believe this has happened. This is like the worst thing that's ever happened. And then by the time the third engine exploded, we were like, that's annoying.
Yeah. It's another day out in the world.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you just have to deal with it because there's no choice. You just have to get on with it.
You've got 2 options. Either you keep pushing forward on this type of trip, or you throw in the towel, and then all of that hard work and everything that you put into it is just kind of, in a way, it's unfulfilled. And I don't think I could ever live with myself knowing we came this far now to be defeated by a mechanical problem.
And it's not as easy as just like, what are you going to do? Just abandon your vehicle in the country? Like,
she's like our baby right at this point.
But you can't like just do that either.
No.
You can't, like, there's a whole load of paperwork and documents and everything. You can't just like dump your broken car and just go.
So let's skip a lot of this stuff because I know we could talk for days. Let's fast forward a little bit. So you're down in Bolivia, correct? You said that earlier?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so now what? You're going to go all the way to the southern tip and then go somewhere, or where are you going? Or are you circling back around, going back north?
The current plan is to go to Ushuaia. That's pretty much the end of the Pan Am. And although we've kind of jumped on in Mexico, we're going to follow it down all the way to Ushuaia now.
No, we're doing a slightly odd detour via Peru back to Bolivia, but then ultimately we are going to the end of the world, and then we are going to go back up the east coast via Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, all of the little countries.
Up to Venezuela.
Yeah, we wanted to visit every single country on the continent.
So it's kind of, this trip's got a lot of legs still on it at the moment.
Yeah, but we're kind of looking for where we want to live. We decided we don't want to go back to Europe, back to England, and we want to live here. So we're looking for where we want to be exactly.
Wow, very cool. So this leads me to another question, and it might be a little too personal, but what do you guys do to fund your trips, your travels? How do you guys budget your money for, month-to-month expenses? Do you have an average expense you guys like to hit? Anything like that? How do you guys pay for unexpected, failures, anything like that?
Well, we had some pretty decent savings when we started, and that went on unexpected failures. So the unexpected failure fund is running rather low at this current point, and we do have a little bit for, like, if there's
major emergency,
a really big emergency and we both have to fly home tomorrow, then we can do that. But there's not too much in that. We mainly make money through renting our property in England. We have 2 houses that we rent out.
So that property we bought that we were talking about earlier, we put a lot of value on the property and then remortgaged it to release more funds and bought a second property with that.
Nice.
And then we rent them both out now for a smallish income, but it helps.
We did remortgage it again for additional funds to do this continent, because by the time we got down to Panama, we were like, it's not going to happen on what we have. Yeah. So the houses really funded this, and then we make some money via social media.
We're trying to build up social media type income. So we in the lockdown when we're in Baja, we wrote a book about the first road trip we ever did in Ruby to Scotland, which helped bring in a little bit of money. We've done stickers and merchandise along the way as well, which people have been amazing and buying to help support our trip, and we're really grateful about that. And we just keep any means possible. You do something. Willow does something called matched betting online, which brings in about $300-400 a month, which helps.
Yeah, it's kind of coming in from various places at the moment. Yeah.
Our goal is to try and keep it as close to 1,000.
Yeah, if we hit 1,000, it would. I mean, it's £1,000, right?
So it's about $1,200.
Yeah, $1,200. That would be great. That would be a good month
for your monthly expense, or your monthly income is what you need.
Expenses. If we could hit that as expenses, that would mean we could probably break even and cover everything
Okay.
ourselves. And then when things break in expensive ways and it goes above that, it kind of comes out of savings.
Mm-hmm.
Which has been happening a lot this year.
A lot. It happens all the time.
So let's talk about
It's-
that if you don't mind. It seems like kind of recently you guys have just been hammered left and right by something. You know, it's just like your computer, your phone. What else went down? Was any of your cameras
The
or anything?
alternator.
Our diesel
alternator
heater
on the...
and cooker, it's a combination thing that broke.
Yeah, the cooker broke, so we're cooking off like little gas cans at the minute. But I mean, maybe it's just because we're so used to everything breaking. But I honestly just feels like a normal kind of time. It's not even that bad. It'll be fine. But
we
yeah,
recently drove to the Amazon, didn't we? And the road in, I've never seen so much dust inside the camper in 4 years. It was inches thick, and we're wondering if the dust that came in had like a component in it which fried all of the circuit boards, because everything that broke was a circuit board related problem.
like our alternator, our laptop,
The diesel heater.
Oh, really?
They were all circuit board related.
Circuit boards failed within, not even on the same day though, like in about a week of each other. They all failed all after we drove this road, which just seems like
man.
Too much of a coincidence.
Yeah, it's
What
weird.
about aliens? Do you guys have aliens fly over at night? Have you noticed anything unique?
I mean,
That's
we've
like
gone past all of the Nazca lines, which are supposedly
Yeah.
there for aliens, haven't we, in Peru? That
Are
was
those
cool.
like EVP blasts, electronic something blasts that you guys could have gone through like some military base, some top secret place?
Oh, like the electromagnetic killer
Pulses,
thing.
I mean,
Yeah.
we
I
were
don't think
literally
there's much of
in
that
the
in-
jungle, so
Yeah.
unless like the monkeys are planning something, that's
Dude,
all we
those
really
monkeys are
came
smart.
across. It was just crazy. Totally worth it though. Going on a boat tour in the Amazon in a river full of piranhas and pink dolphins and caiman crocodiles. It was
really good.
It was unusual.
So here's another kind of personal question, I guess. Why South America? Or I guess is that more like Central America, wherever you guys are wanting to set roots, versus back home? Just a change of pace? You like the culture, or what do you guys like? The freedom of it?
All of those
It's a
things.
bit of everything, really. We always, when we were planning the 12-month trip, we were already planning on potentially buying some land when we came back in the UK and doing we've already done a house renovation, so we're like, next step would be to build a whole property. But to buy land in the UK was just, it's so scarce to buy land that you can get building permissions on, and it's really expensive. And I think the way we see our lives now after this trip is a lot more calmer than going back to the rat race in the city 9 to 5. And it's hard to tell people, because a lot of people, they picture Latin America and they think, oh, it's dangerous, lots of cartels, but it's the complete opposite. Everyone is, they're like, every country's the same. People go to work, they catch the bus, they get their Starbucks coffee. Obviously, in these countries, there's less big cities and lots more smaller villages, but they still do their daily lives, but it's in a much calmer way.
I just think if you're gonna, you could be unlucky and get mugged or robbed here, and you could as well, where we used to live back in England, and it doesn't really matter which country you're in, it could happen to you anywhere, because those kind of people are in every place, and ultimately it just boils down to if you were in the wrong place at the wrong time. And it's not that you go, oh, it's because Mexico's terribly dangerous. It's just that you happen to bump into that person then, and it could happen anywhere. So you can't live by, oh, it's dangerous down here. It's the same as everywhere else, really.
I think we see more of a future here. Land's a lot more affordable, and you can buy a lot more of it.
And you're allowed to do what you like with it once you've bought it.
You've got the climate to do things. So we want to open a campground for overlanders like ourselves and have a little bistro restaurant type thing, maybe a little microbrewery. It's kind of cool thing to play around with. But you can just grow everything yourself. You want to grow your own fruit and veg, be self-sufficient.
They don't have the legislation.
And that's
here.
something this lifestyle really teaches you, being like really conservative. We make our own power on the road. We have to source our own water on the road. And once you've got it, we don't have a large capacity. So you've got to use it wisely.
And it's possible here, if we wanted to do it back home, the laws and licensing required to set up something like that would cost you an insane amount of money that is just not even viable. And here, they don't have that. It's like, if you want to sell food, just sell it. It's fine. No one's going to tell you, oh no, where's your like food hygiene certificate?
We would push ourselves to have.
Not saying it's going to be really horrible. No, but it's just the legalities, I suppose.
Yeah. I think it's cool that for people like, especially Americans and people that, even in Europe, people that are in the civilized world, or if you will, really heavy on tech and creature comforts, air conditioning, all that stuff. You can order something on Amazon and have it in like 30 minutes or less or whatever. You go to some of these more rural third world countries, pretty much where they don't have these amenities everywhere. It's kind of the culture shock thing, but then also a sense of gratitude and gratefulness for whatever you do have or have experienced in the past, and then probably even can better others around you on your trips, I'm sure, also by teaching them certain things along the way.
I think it's taught us a lot of things. Like, I think we were both so surprised by how nice people are, actually. People say, oh, scary traveling, it's going to be really hard, and that must be like difficult out of the country, into the language, you're going out of your comfort zone, and that must be so scary. And actually, I can't believe how incredibly kind people have been to us, and they don't even know us. And
people who have very little, they're quite happy to give it all to us.
Yeah, they're just like in every country, not just Latin America and
the US. We had so much, because even going to the US for us was scary, because it's a big trip from us. You can't just, if it goes wrong, you can't just like get a tow truck home. You're separated by the Atlantic, and we were driving the I-10 on the way to New Orleans, and we were in Mississippi, and our windscreen just completely exploded on us on the highway, and it had it was laminated.
It wasn't
laminated, so it just it was just cracked everywhere. So we pulled over on a rest area, and we put out like a call for help on like Facebook groups, and we called our insurance, and they're like, no, we can't help you. And then
obviously you can't just pop to the local windscreen guy because you're driving a classic car. So
and it was Friday night, and we were like, it was getting late, and we were like, man, don't know what's gonna go. So we popped the roof, we started cooking, and then we heard like an air-cooled engine pull up outside, and a guy named Sam, who was originally from England, and he moved to the US to be with his dad. He was like, oh, we saw all of your messages online on the Facebook groups. I've come out to check you guys are all right. And he saw it, and he's like, oh man, that's bad. I've just broken another VW. There's a spare windscreen going spare. Let me message the guy. And he did. And he was like, the guy says you can have it for free. It's half an hour down the road. I'm going to go drive and get it. I'll bring it back, and I'll put it in for you guys. And it was just cool. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
We refused to take any money, anything else. They were like, why don't you come and drink with us at our little VW festival? I'm like, okay.
How cool is that?
That's amazing. It is awesome.
I think, this goes with, I've said it sometimes on the show, like if you make yourself a little vulnerable and put yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit, and even ask for help, who cares? Don't be so prideful. You would be astonished at the amount of help that you could get, and the amount of like friendships that could develop just from throwing yourself out there. So you guys posted on Facebook or whatever, and these strangers just showed up. I think that's awesome. Just shows you.
Yeah, and that's what we want to hope from our trip. We hope that it can inspire people to be more adventurous, because it is possible. There's support out there these days, and what you learn from life and yourselves will really shock yourself, really.
Definitely. And I think it's made us realise, now if a camper showed up on my doorstep, back home, I'm not sure what I would have done, but now I'd, come in, have dinner, do you need a shower?
Yeah.
Whereas back home, I'd be like there twitching my curtains, like, what are they doing on the street?
Right.
It's changed our perspective completely about that in a good way, I think.
I think it's not only just because we're still from different cultures. Like you guys grew up kind of on the totally other opposite side of the world from us, but from me. But we've always been instilled like, don't talk to strangers. Do all this stuff, and it's kind of like it's kind of been ingrained. It's okay to say hi to people. I'm from the Midwest. I'm from like Central Missouri. I'll go to cities and stuff. I'm nodding my head to people. Hey, how's it going? And they're looking at me like, "Who's this weirdo?" And then it's just kind of like everybody's got their guard up. But that has nothing really to do with overlanding, other than if you're going to these places, don't put your guard up like that. Kind of experience the culture. Not everybody.
Yeah, and sometimes you have a problem and you don't have a choice. You have to just trust like a random stranger, and then you realize actually it wasn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think some of our best times have been with people we barely know. We met a Swiss couple the other night. They were in a VW Kombi as well. And it was only the second day we were like, I don't know your names. We spoke to you all night around a campfire. Oh, wow. I still don't know who you are. Like, I know where you're from. I know where you're going. But I don't know your names. You just chat and you develop friendships. And
let's talk about kind of how your guys' I know being on the road now for 4 years plus or whatever, you guys know Ruby and you know where to put things in Ruby. You guys know where everything's at, your bedding, your cooking, your food. Can you talk to us about kind of how you've got it set up, what you've changed over the years, what works for you, what didn't work that you thought you probably could have used in, just evolving, I guess, to make things work better for y'all instead of, if that made any sense. I don't know. I probably can.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
I think our electricity is the main. I think overall we were really happy with the layout and what we put in the van. We went to lots of classic car shows and we looked at everybody else's and what they did, and
we even hired one.
We hired one to see if we liked it before we committed.
That was an amazing step for us, because from hiring that vehicle, which was also a camper, we knew what we liked, what we didn't like, and what we would want to do differently. And that's why we bought Ruby, did her up and shipped her, because we wanted to build her completely custom to our own needs. A lot of people ask us that. They're like, why don't you just buy a VW in the US? There's loads of them over there. And we're like, because there's a lot of things we like and we wanted to have it with us. So we needed to have a very custom space, because you don't get much in a VW. And
because it's so small that like literally every tiny thing counts.
And we have literally got everything in here. I'll try and go through a list. We've got a composting toilet in here, which is essential. It's brilliant. We've got a 12-volt fridge with a freezer compartment inside. We have this Wallace combination diesel heater and cooking top. We have a sink. We've got probably enough equipment to run a professional kitchen, blenders, electric ovens.
We may have prioritised the kitchen in this particular setup.
So you guys like to cook when you're out? You guys like cooking?
We do.
Yeah, we love cooking. Okay.
See, a lot of people, and I'm not, I don't want to put this in like one category because you guys are full time, but like some people, if I'm going out for a couple days or whatever on a little small weekend trip or something, I don't mind to just cook like something kind of basic. But then there's some people who want to just go all out and cook some fantastic meal. Just we're out for a couple nights or whatever. But some people would get tired of cooking all the time. But you guys don't find that. You guys experiment with foods and different cultures and stuff.
We've always cooked.
We used to buy we're the type of people who buy cookbooks and try new recipes and
buy a random vegetable because we don't know what it is, just to see what to cook with it. And we really like cooking, so we made that a kind of a priority in our van. And also I'm pretty much vegetarian, and that in South America is not you can eat out a bit, but you would get pretty bored
It's very
pretty
repetitive.
fast. So
But they've got so many good vegetables here. to
yeah,
buy.
they've got amazing produce, but if you go to a restaurant and you eat, it will be the same 3 meals most of the time throughout the country, so it get pretty boring as well if you didn't
If you want
cook
variety.
yourself anyway. So, but plus we enjoy it.
Nice.
So yeah.
Is that so? Aside from cooking and kind of, I guess, capturing all your guys' trips and stuff, do you guys? What are you looking? Getting bugged? Oh, your lights. Hey, welcome back.
Light.
A bit more
Yeah,
light.
they're
It's
light.
getting darker
It's got
now.
Yeah.
we had sunset.
Singular.
We've got more light. There we go.
Okay.
Okay, you can see
So
us
what
again.
other hobbies do you guys have? Yeah, cooking, chronicalizing your trips and your journeys. Do you guys have
Cats.
anything? Yeah, your cats. Let's talk about them. How do they do on the
Cats.
road? Do they even...
They're pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
Aimee and
Aimee,
Lexi, you're correct.
Aimee and Lexi, yeah.
There you
Amy's
go.
been with us since the east coast of the US. She's a Washington girl near DC.
Wow.
And we picked her up and she was about 6 weeks old at the time, and now she's coming up to her 4th birthday. Very well
And they
traveled
travel
cat,
well?
12 countries. Yeah, they adapt.
That's
I
more
think
than me.
there's a conception that cats don't like change, and if you move them to a new location, they'll get confused and lost. But actually, we found the opposite. Our cats know our camper really well. It's their home. It's their safe place. Anything scares them, the first thing they do will hightail it back to Ruby and hide underneath.
Oh, wow.
They've come for hikes in deserts and mountains with us without a lead. They just follow us, and we never taught them that. Lexi, she's only been with us for 3 or 4 months, and just the other night it was just a park in the city, and we went for a walk with Amy, and she just decided to follow us. It was untrained. She just, hey guys, where are we going?
Yeah, nice. So they're doing good. What other things or hobbies do you guys do to pass time? You said hiking. You guys enjoy hiking and exploring.
We love hiking, yeah. We've done some amazing hikes
Amazing
recently.
hiking, yeah.
Yeah.
This week we had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning here to reach a mirador to watch the sunrise over this incredible valley, and it was amazing. But we are not morning people, so that killed us. Absolutely
me neither.
killed us. And then it was like a 12-kilometer hike after to get back to Ruby. We got covered in ticks. It was just it was an unbelievable hike, but it was one of the more challenging ones.
Totally
Yeah, it's
worth it,
definitely
though.
nice to find some good hiking again. We had a bit of a, I don't know, sometimes it's hard to find stuff for a bit, or it's been too hot.
Yeah,
sometimes it's
the
just
climate
too
down here is
hot.
hard. We love exploring. Just it's the thing that's probably kept us going for so long is we still love going to new places. Peru was an unbelievable country because we went from a beach similar to Baja, and then we did this canyon road up into the mountains, and we had this glacier lake with snow-capped mountains, and then
Nice.
we drove back down and we were in a desert full of sand dunes and a little oasis. It's just balmy. And then from there we
That's
ended
really
up
cool.
going to Machu Picchu and seeing all of these ruins in the mountains.
Yeah.
It's just, you just keep getting this variety, and it's, like I say, addictive.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just never really quite know what's going to happen that day. Like, you have a plan, but the plan may well not happen that way at all.
Yeah, you have to become very good at just going with the flow.
Yeah, you have to. I think that was really hard for me at the start because I'm the kind of person that likes to make kind of long and obsessive lists, but
And I'm the spontaneous one.
and it's fine, have your plan and whatever, but if it doesn't work out, you can't kind of spiral out of control or get upset by that, because otherwise you'd just be permanently upset. You have to realize that sometimes it just won't work. Like, we went to leave a city the other day and there's a huge road blockade and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then it opened up and we tried to leave, and the rear of our chassis was completely splitting open, so we had to find a welder to patch it up.
Oh,
and it's
no.
just, there's always something.
It's just how it goes, really.
So it's interesting you said, because I've talked to some other people who've, traveled down south and have done the Pan American. They're like, if you set, each day, if you plan it out, you will be disappointed because you'll never take it all in as to what you want. You'll run out of time, or you'll find something totally different, and then you'll just have to, move with the flow or whatever. But how long do you guys allot yourself for like an area? I mean, if you had, if there wasn't like a road blockage or anything, if you guys went to one area, you're like, hey, let's stay here for a couple days, or you kind of look at each other and like, yeah, we don't like this, let's keep driving. How do you guys decide where to stay, how long to stay, and then what to do?
So
I guess the visa ultimately.
Yeah. We first of all, depending on the country, we get the visa, and then we look at the size of the country. So Bolivia is quite a small country, and we've got a 3-month visa, which is brilliant because it gives you a lot more time to really get your teeth into it. And then, I mean, the best thing about our day and age right now is you can research, and then you can put points on a map digitally via Google, and then just by finding and researching the things that you want to do, your route kind of takes shape anyway. And then it's just a matter of when you get there, how long do you think you're going to need in each place to get around all of it in 3 months? And then we just kind of go with the flow then. And
we're
it just
really like flexible, I think, at the start. We put up our points and we're like, here, we're like, okay, we have a 3 months visa, so we should be like at the other end of the country in roughly 6 weeks, then I suppose, like in the middle. And then we kind of plan, and then yeah, we just kind of go with the flow a bit. Like sometimes we end up staying for longer for whatever reason, or we really like it, and sometimes we're like, oh, we stayed longer than we meant to, we need to speed up.
Sometimes you go somewhere and you're like, oh no, this isn't what I pictured in my head, let's just skip it.
Or you meet somebody, like we met a Bolivian cowboy and his family, and they just invited us, and we stayed in their house for like,
nice.
I don't know, 3 or 4 days. It was completely unplanned, and we had
his ranch, and he completely dissected a cow in front of us and fed it us.
It was very random, but sometimes the
Those
best
are the best
things
ones.
are completely random. But now we're like, okay, so now we have a date that we have to leave the country. So when we get closer to a more concrete time scale, we tend to like put the date and then the places we want, and we like work it back from the date. Like we need to be here, and then we know like, okay, we have like a week to play with.
Yeah, the last week or two becomes a bit more structured, because otherwise you either won't get out in time, you won't be anywhere near the border, or there may be something you wanted to do and you won't have enough time to fully appreciate it. So you kind of look at it and be like, right, this needs structure. The rest of it's been a bit loose up until that point.
I mean, normally we're pretty random with it, but the only time, like Peru, we had a really, really fixed timeline, and I think that's the only time we've made a day-by-day plan and actually stuck to it, because we needed to be gone and we needed to be out. Normally we have our plan now, and we're like, I don't know, a week completely off track somewhere. Like, I know the next town, but it's definitely not when we said, but we know that we have like a bit of time to play around with, so it's fine.
Yeah. Well, I think it's fun. I mean, it's cool. Like, I like, for me, just interviewing people that are all walks of life and everything. You guys are definitely on something I would totally be down to do, but I don't know if I'll ever do it. But I think it's so cool to pick your guys' brain and just kind of get in your life for a little bit, be a part of it for just a little bit, and experience that and share it with our listeners. But is there anything you guys want to touch on that we haven't before? I know this was just a lot. We probably could have talked for a couple days on just
there's so much you could break down.
I mean, I think just what you said, like maybe you wouldn't do it, but I think it's really important that we're just completely like regular people. We didn't have huge savings. We didn't, have any like particularly special like skill set or anything like that.
We had commitments. We had jobs. We had a house that we had a mortgage for, and
we had pets.
These are all
and
things.
All of our family is there and everything. And people are like, oh, you're so lucky. I could never do that. And it's like, anybody can do that if you want to.
Maybe not to the extreme that we have currently ended up, but even we didn't plan to be.
No, but
in Bolivia.
Anybody can travel if they want to.
Yeah.
It's not.
And if anyone was listening to this and they own an overlanding vehicle, we would definitely be like, get out there more. Like, take some. Don't go to if you're someone who always goes to the same national park and you've got your same camp spot, because I know people do that. They try and break that routine and be like, do you know what, today we're roughly going to go to this area and let's see what we find, and take a bit more of a chance and a bit more of see what happens, because that's when if you start opening yourselves up to that possibility, you'll be surprised actually about what will come from it.
And even when it goes really, really horribly wrong, there's always a way out of it that is generally not as bad as you think. Like, you won't need...
We've blown up... We've broken 3 engines. Trust me, you can't get worse than that in a weekend trip.
If there's any overlanders that have broken their car this much, I swear, like, with 3 engines, 3 gearboxes, like complete
2
suspension, 2 windscreens. You know, we have broken everything so many times, but we've always managed to, like, I don't know, you know, we see like the look at the bright side or find a way out, or somebody
make lemonade.
Yeah, and people have been very nice and very helpful and have made it so that we could continue, and it's never as, it might seem like the end of the world, but actually you'll probably be fine.
Yeah, I love it. And just like you said earlier, Lee, just like if you're going to the same spot, push yourself, get out there, you know, get uncomfortable, and then go explore and find new places. And I think that's where the draw for me is, just going somewhere new and somewhere different. And it might be a crappy camp spot for that night, but you tried something new and pushed the envelope a little bit for your own personal envelope. Yeah.
I mean, the US is a big place and Europe's a big place. There's lots of places to see. So, yeah, you should definitely see more of it in the time that we've got.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you don't like it, you just leave. That's the great thing about having a vehicle. You can just
You're not tied to an apartment.
I think most of the time we find places and we end up staying longer because we like it, but there has been times where we've like pulled into where we just said we're going to camp and we're like, oh no.
Yeah, we use an app called Overlander. I'm not sure if you've heard of it or you use it yourself, but it's brilliant for finding spots. But occasionally you'll get to a spot and someone they've written a very brief description. They haven't put a photo, and you take a chance on it, and then you get there and you're like, oh, I can see why they haven't put a photo.
Yeah.
Yes, but that's the beauty of it, is that you can just
then you just drop the roof, find the cats, drag them out of a bush, chuck them in, drive off.
Well, we are at the 50-minute mark. How can people follow you, contact you, support you in any way? How can they do that?
So we are on quite a few platforms. So I think the main place we really post about our trip on a daily basis will be on Facebook. People who follow this may be on your Facebook group as well, and we post on that regularly. If they search the Kombi Chronicles on Facebook, they'll find us on there, and we post everything via that. So anything else, so if it's a YouTube video or an Instagram post, it all filters through Facebook. So that's a good place to really keep in touch with our trip. If people really like reading and they like a more detailed view of it, Willow also writes a blog, and she's been writing it for many, many years now.
The whole trip, yeah. We have a blog for everything.
And you can find that where?
It's our own website is the blog. So if you just Googled the Kombi Chronicles, because it's just the kombichronicles.com, and that is our blog. But we tend
Mad Ramblings.
Yeah, we tend to share the links for them posts anyway. And in terms of stuff that we don't share via Facebook would be on our Patreon. So we do have Patreon. If people are interested in supporting us, then we have some stuff we post on there that we don't post anywhere else, and early access to our videos and that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, so we're all over. And if you really want to support us, they can buy a book. If you've got Amazon, we're on Amazon. Our book, Kombi Chronicles, Adventures in a VW.
Yeah, it's the first proper.
It's only a little read.
Breakdown account.
Very good.
So yeah.
Anything else you guys want to say to anybody out here in the podcast world?
If you're someone listening and you've been one of the people who've helped us out of our sticky situation recently, many thanks. I know a lot of people have sent us positive messages. People have sent us donations. So if they are listening, many thanks, because we were struggling. So they've really helped us get out of a pickle.
Massively. And if anybody wants to ask us any questions about what we did or how we did it, we are happy to talk to people on whatever
platform they feel
yeah,
comfortable
but
with.
like if you're wondering how it's possible to ship your van, or you wanted some advice,
If
then
there's any females who want to know more about getting into mechanics,
anything
Yeah.
like that, then we both used to be teachers, so we're pretty happy to help out.
I love it. Well, guys, we will end here. I appreciate your time and safe travels. We'll definitely catch up. And if I'm ever down in the area and you guys put roots somewhere, I'll hit you up for sure.
definitely. We'll save a beer for you.
Amazing.
Cheers, Benji.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming on, and we will talk later.
Thanks.
Cheers.
All right.
Bye.